Onward comes from the director of Monsters University, Dan Scanlon, and includes the voice talents of Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. In a fantasy reimagining of present day, two teenage brothers set out on a journey to find a hidden stone that can bring their deceased father back to life for 24 hours. So I'm finally back from my break. I arrived home yesterday from Maine, and I got the chance to see Onward. I was hoping to see it last week, but unfortunately, since I went to Maine, I was not able to, so that's why I'm reviewing this movie on a Tuesday instead of a Friday or Saturday. Pixar, in my opinion, has hit a bit of a rough patch. Toy Story 4, I don't think needed to be made, and I really did not like Incredibles 2, but loved Coco. And I can easily say with full confidence that Onward is absolutely my favorite Pixar movie since Coco. The director of Onward is Dan Scanlon. He did Monsters University, as I said, which I thought was a pretty good movie. It's not as good, of course, as Monsters, Inc., but it was still a solid sequel and prequel. And I actually do think Onward is a better Pixar movie than Monsters University, and it all starts with the voice acting. Chris Pratt and Tom Holland are both great in this movie with their voice talents. Perfect choices to voice these characters. I could not imagine anybody else doing a better job than these two guys did. Their chemistry on the screen, they felt like real brothers with just their voices. That was very impressive. It was funny hearing the voices of Spider-Man and Star-Lord in the same movie and it not being in the MCU. Obviously, the animation in Onward is gorgeous. That goes without saying. And with that, I loved the world building in this film. I personally think a sequel is possible with Onward because of how vast this fantasy world is. There are endless things you can do inside of this world, so I could see a sequel happening. Will it happen? I don't know, but I could see it happening. Also, like several other Pixar movies, Onward is pretty funny. The script is unique, it's clever. Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, again, are super funny in the movie. Most of the jokes that I laughed at were coming from those characters that they voice acted for. Something else to point out about Onward is how this film does feel original, and I know we've seen so many times with fantasy movies, the adventures and the journeys that these characters go on. Lord of the Rings is one to point out. That might be the biggest one of them all in terms of fantasy adventures. But even if this movie doesn't have the most original plot, the world that we get, the characters we're given, along with several other aspects that deliver in this film, makes Onward feel more original than other Pixar movies we've seen before in the past. And it would not be a Pixar movie if there weren't some heartfelt moments that make you tear up. And by the end, there is one perfect moment that I would not want it done any other way. It was beautiful. The ending of this movie, I think, is probably the best part of the entire film. It was so well done. It made me cry, I'll admit that. And this movie has some great themes. If you never got to meet your mom and dad and always wish you could just bring them back for one day to talk to them for the first time ever, that's where this movie hits you hard. And if you're one of those people, this movie will land with you on so many levels. Onward, I think, succeeds in many different ways. Like I said, though, there are some things that don't always feel that original. I do think this is an original movie, but the plot itself doesn't always come off it, since we've seen that fantasy journey happen so many times in other fantasy films. If you watch the trailer for Onward, you pretty much know what you're going to get from the film. There aren't too many surprises, and if you watch closely, you can guess where this movie is going from A to Z. Plain and simple, Onward is just not as good as other Pixar movies we've been given in the past. It's not as entertaining. The characters are not as memorable. It doesn't hit you as hard emotionally depending on who you are as a person and your backstory. But this movie does do those things in smaller doses, just not as well as other previous Pixar movies have done before. All in all, I enjoyed Onward a heck of a lot. It's so much better than Incredibles 2, better than Toy Story 4. It's the best Pixar movie since Coco, which I'm pretty happy to say. I'm giving Onward an 85%. That very well could change in the coming months if I watch this movie again or watch the other Pixar movies. Don't know exactly how I'll feel about it by the time December comes around, but still, Onward is a good movie. I think this movie is actually a little bit underrated by some critics. Alright, for those of you who also happened to see Onward this past weekend, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are of it. Next up, I will be seeing The Way Back, hopefully in the next couple of days, as well as the other movies that are coming out this upcoming weekend. Unfortunately, I will not be reviewing Skyfall or Spectre anytime soon because, well, No Time to Die was delayed until November 25th, so I'm pretty ticked off about that. May make a video raging and screaming and crying about that movie getting pushed back so far, so maybe I'll do that for you guys. If you're new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.